Thanks for joining us on Coast to Coast Pest Talk.
Let's do a question. That was fun last week. We can chat about it, something.
Okay. So this is another listener question, but it's not. It might not be as juicy as last week's was, or fraught with landmines as the technology question was. But this one, okay. So here's the next one I got on here.
Okay.
There's a PCT poll. You know how we love talking about polls. There's nothing
Yes, we
better
do.
than talking about the media's polls. There's a PCT poll says 85% of companies let technicians take trucks home every night.
How dare they?
So
You know,
do your guys take their trucks home?
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
really? Okay.
but it's not really fair because I'm pretty unique. I don't even have a main office, right? So
Okay.
my whole company is basically remote because we're just real small. Um, Eventually, I plan on having an actual office, and I I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll make a choice then what I'm gonna do when I
Oh
actually
no.
have the choice. But
Yeah.
right now, like we don't. It's either park them all outside of my house.
Park them all in the driveway.
Yeah, just
Neighbors will
stack
love
them in. Um,
it.
so yeah, so they always take them home.
Okay, so do you think that this poll result then is a result is in effect that it's like people don't have like they save money on home offices so that they don't have like a parking lot and office to store them, and so they're like, okay, we'll just make this a perk, and guys can just drive trucks home.
That's possible. I'd be curious. Did he link the survey at all?
No, but if you Google it, you can find this survey. It was only like a couple weeks back.
Okay.
I saw the results posted on LinkedIn and stuff.
I'm
I was shocked when I saw it because we have never had guys take their trucks home.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, we have a big line of trucks outside out in the parking lot every night.
Yep.
They all come back here. So now I feel like a miser because I'm not letting guys drive their trucks home, right?
That's okay. That's crazy. I just, it's you sort of just assume everybody does the exact same thing that you do.
Right, right. Yeah. So we one of the things we thought about way back was what do you do when you let somebody go? Like you bring them in the morning or whatever, and you're like, okay, we got to have a meeting and whatever. Well, they just drove your truck in, and now they're stranded. And we way back had let people bring their trucks home like right off the bat, because you're super small, you don't have any place to park it, you're working out of the garage. We got our first office, and then we had to let somebody go, and we're like looking at each other, going, "Oh man!" So we ended up calling a Uber, right? To
Yeah.
to and
Yep.
and then here's the nightmare that you have. Okay, so the person comes in, and you're like, okay, they're gonna be in here at 3 o'clock, and we're gonna talk. It'll probably be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, right? Okay, we gotta let you go. Here's the paperwork. Here's this. Here's that. What time do you tell the car to get there? And what if the car's late? And what if the car's really late and you're like sitting there and now you're just like hanging out and you're like you just let somebody go and now you're sitting there for a half an hour, like what do you talk about at that point? Like
So you got any interviews lined up or?
yeah. Yeah, and they're like, no, I wasn't expecting this. Oh my god. So it was there were some uncomfortable situations there,
Yeah.
early
Dang.
on. And then we're like, you know what? We don't really gain that much by letting the trucks go home. So we said, you know what? Let's keep them here. But
So what
now we're
time
in
are
the
your
minority.
first appointments at?
In the morning,
Yeah.
usually 9 o'clock.
Okay. So
Yeah,
people showing up around 8.
yeah, yep. Usually around 8 o'clock. Yep, getting gear together. We'll usually have some tech briefing stuff in the morning, and oh, what are you doing? What's this? What's that? If people have questions or whatever, they can ask it then. Or if there's equipment that needs repair or something like that, yeah, and then they head out and usually at their first stop by 9, and then they're done by 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
As in they're like rolling back into the.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Okay.
usually getting back to the office. Yeah, 4 o'clock hour somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's cool. I suspect I'll probably end up doing that once we get an actual office. Um, Unless I just, indefinitely stay remote, but
Yeah.
I don't want
So
to do that.
do you think it's a big perk? Do you think like guys look at that at the as part of the compensation and say, "Oh, I get a take home service vehicle"?
Maybe it's just around here, but like, yeah, the big brands, no, it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies let their techs take home vehicles.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the only um, I know like our local Orkin branch, they usually will have a line, so I suspect they're not letting their techs take them home. But most of the other, like the mid-size, we had a decent mid-size brand that was like 20 or 30 trucks, and they had most of their team took their vehicles home. Um, yeah, I guess it is. I guess they probably do see it as kind of a perk. It's kind of nice. You don't have to spend gas driving to and from
Sure.
work, that type of thing.
Yeah. Now, way back in the day, I had the option at the first company I worked at we could take the truck home or we could drive our own. They didn't care one way or the other. But if you were a drive your own vehicle, you would come in the morning, clock in when you got in the truck and rolled out. Rolled out out of the parking lot to go, and then you'd clock out when you returned to the office, park the truck, boom, clock out.
Yep.
Because we're hourly. I mean, we're up north, so it's a lot of hourly. And I chose to drive my own vehicle in and pick up the truck each day because I ended up, if you didn't do that, they wanted you to clock out at the end of your day when you finished your last job.
Right.
And you'd clock in the morning when you got to your first job. So if you would kind of eat that drive time to and from your first and last job. So
Yeah.
going from your house to your first job is on you. You clock in when you arrive, and then your last job, as soon as you're done, you're off the clock and you're
Yeah.
driving home.
Yeah.
So I would get like an hour and a half more hours by driving my own vehicle in, which maybe was a wash because you're paying for gas to drive your own vehicle in. So I don't know if I actually gained on that one. But yeah, it's funny to see like we're in the minority here. With we're 100%. You pick your truck up here at the office. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Man.
maybe,
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I don't know if I'll do this forever, especially as we grow more, but like I have my team, they clock in when they start their day at their house.
so when they leave the house in the
When they
morning,
leave their
they
home,
clock in.
they
And
clock in,
when do
and
they clock out?
they clock out when they get back home.
Okay.
So I'm paying for a decent amount, especially I've got one of my techs lives quite a ways up north, so I'm paying for a decent amount of drive time.
Yeah.
But I figure, that's just how we've always done it, and I like that. I
Yeah.
like pushing that a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure if as we grow, if that will be like sustainable
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
term, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Do you feel like it puts somebody out on an island more? Like you don't get to check in with them as often. You're not seeing them. They're not seeing you.
Yeah, it would, I think, for sure if we had an office. Where like if I'm sitting, at the office and the guys are never checking in and stuff. But because we don't have a main office anyways, I work out of my home. Um, we didn't have that. Like we never had, oh, they're coming in and checking in every single day type of
Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
I'd love that, but yeah, we don't have that. And so actually, this ties into the team meetings. Um, Starting the weekly team meetings, which was largely because of your impetus, um, has been super helpful to just have that consistent touch point.
Yeah.
Because you do miss that when you
Yeah.
have everybody remote. You miss those regular touch points to just check in, get on the same page. There's so much stuff to talk about, and if you don't talk, like you're always talking, but if you're only chatting about urgent business needs
Yeah.
throughout the day,
Right.
it's really, yeah, it's tough. I think it really takes a toll.
Yeah, we have sort of developed a customary kind of check-in, like at the beginning of the day, end of the day, like technicians as they get back throughout the day. If I'm in the office at the end of the day, almost all of them will roll through and just pop in. How's it going? Yeah, cool. Oh, tell you a little bit about what they did that day. Oh, I saw this cool thing or that cool thing. Oh, yeah, that's neat. And oh, remember you got this thing coming up and whatever. So we sort of get some FaceTime, and it's a little weird if we have a technician that like we don't get face to face time with in 2 days. It's like,
Right.
oh, holy cow, where's that guy? I gotta go. I'll go find him out in the parking lot and be like, how's it going, man? I haven't talked to you in 2 days or whatever. Like it gets crazy. So I don't know if like we're like overbearing, or it's just kind of how we've evolved. But it keeps a high level of connectivity between everybody. And what
Yes.
I've also noticed is with that we tend to all like by diffusion like know what's going on, like through accounts. You'll overhear other technicians talking about Mrs. Jones's place and this factory there and this warehouse there, and I had this problem. And like you kind of all have like this common understanding of what's happening. So if you get sent to another account that you're not normally at, you're like, oh no, heard the other two guys talking about this the other day, and this is a
Right.
problem there, and I'll
Right.
check that thing out. So like the information, the dissemination of that information is really dense throughout everybody by having everybody here in the morning, everybody here in the afternoon.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that doesn't seem overbearing to me. That seems really good. That's just a strong culture, I think, you know.
Sure.
Um, you, you remember during 2020 and there was a whole big work from home push, and which I think it has its own benefits, obviously. But I think from a business culture standpoint, man, there's like I don't even know how to describe it, but there's a aspect of your company culture that is so easily disseminated through in-office relationships that's really tough to replicate.
Yeah, well, that's the way you would learn culture and learn how to interact with other humans would be, face to face, in
Yeah.
person. Like that's how we're hardwired to do that. So is there a connection then? 85% of companies let their technicians go home with their trucks and don't see them very often. And the guys work remote for a week at a time and you don't ever see them. Is there also a connection to that with 85% of companies say they have a hard time keeping engagement, and how do I keep our culture up? Do you,
Yep.
I mean, could there be like, hey, maybe these two things have something to do with each other?
Yep. Yeah, totally. I think that's absolutely right. Um, yeah, and I really think you need as many, I'm sure there's some science out there about this, but you need as many touch points as you can throughout the week.
Yeah. Well, and each touch point's going to have a different sort of value emotionally. So, like, if I send a text that has a certain, if you were to rate it on an emotional scale, it's going to be pretty low. And an email might be
Right.
a little higher. A picture, a video, talking on the phone, video chat, in person. If I was to rank, all those touch points in value, that's kind of how they rank. So if you're only ever texting somebody, you know, 3 days later after you see them, you haven't seen them for a couple days, and then you text them and you're like, hey, how come you didn't get this job done on time? It's easy for somebody to be like, screw this, man.
Right.
You, you know,
Yep.
versus if you saw them that morning, you talked about some things, you sent them a text, hey, how come this one was late? Like they don't have the anxiety of like, I don't know my place, in the hierarchy and in the company, and what's this text mean, and whatever. You can really run off the rails pretty quick with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, that makes me really excited to have an actual office space where I can sort of begin to, because man, like we haven't had that
yeah, yeah,
ever yet.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Granted, I'm 3 years in now, so
yeah,
we're not
yeah.
like super old, but yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, no, I would not give up our. We have a big tech room, classroom area that we do things in. We'll do our classes in there and have breakfasts and lunches and whatever. And that's kind of the meeting place for everybody in the morning and in the afternoon, and the kinds of conversations and stuff that we have in there. I can't imagine giving that up. If like if we all just dispersed, took our trucks home, never were coming in the morning, you come in at 8 o'clock and it'd be like quiet. And I guess everybody's doing their work. End of the day, it's like quiet. Nobody pops in. You're like, I don't know. It'd be a whole different vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally is. And I know it's interesting. I mean, just from my little experience with people in the industry around the nation, it seems like even fairly large, at least large kind of divisions of national brands, they'll do take home trucks as well.
Yeah.
There's a couple Anticimex branches that I know that they are mostly remote.
Wow. So for you, at the end of your day, I just trying to wrap my head around this. At the end of your day just kind of ends, right? Like it's just,
Yep.
I guess we're all done, and I guess wow, that's crazy. Because we'll kind of wait on everybody. Okay, where's this guy? Okay, he's at his last job. Yep, he's just about wrapping up. Oh, he's going to be in here in a few minutes. Yep. Okay, everybody, and then we wait till like Holly and I wait till like the day's clear. Like everybody's done. Everybody's got their stuff finished. Trucks are back. Put to bed. Everybody went home. We're good. We turn off the lights.
Yep.
Head home or whatever. And it has this like normal like conclusion to the day. And I can't imagine if it was just quiet and nothing happens. And then we're just like, oh, I guess I go home. I guess we're done here. Like I don't know. It seems like I feel like as I go through a day, there's like this sort of energy of the day, and we're doing things, and customers are calling, and technicians are calling, and things are happening. We're trying to solve problems, and you get
Yep.
sort of like this little bit of like adrenaline throughout the day, and it's exciting and fun. And then you sort of close out the day, go home, have dinner with the family, and whatever. And I feel like, boy, you take that away if everybody's just all separate, man. I don't know if I'd like that as much.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I haven't experienced that, so I would actually probably enjoy that quite a lot. But you just kind of get used to
Yeah,
you kind of get used to what you're used to.
what you
Yeah,
do.
so I kind of do I do an aspect of that type of stuff where I'll always wait, make sure all the guys close out all their accounts, read through the notes for the day and that type of stuff, and
Sure.
just kind of have an eye on that. But yeah, it's all remote. So I'm
Wow.
not like waiting for them to come in and
Yeah.
giving them a high five at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a bummer. I'd be bummed. I love it too because we'll have at the end of the day we'll have stuff come back. There's like one of our people brought in a great big katydid sample that he found, and we got a big stone cricket the other day, and they could bring back their finds throughout the day into the lab, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna pin this one, and this one's great, and looking at them under the microscope and stuff, and like I don't know. That's fun for me. I don't think we're gonna go away from that and
That is really cool.
send
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah, that surprises me that it's so many, such a high percentage. Is it that have 85% have all of their techs remote, basically?
I think so. That's how I took it. Yeah,
Wow.
it's I thought it'd be if I had to guess beforehand, I thought maybe 50-50. I thought half the companies were letting their trucks go home, and half would probably have them back at the office at the end of the day. But I guess we're in this tiny little 15%. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, I think that sadly, I think that probably speaks to how much people care about culture.
So like they don't like it's not as important. Like
Yeah.
we hear a lot of talk about it, but are we hearing a lot of talk because it's something we wish we all had, but
Yeah.
we don't actually invest in it?
I mean, unless they're just going above and beyond to triple down and make sure that they can diffuse culture remotely. But I mean, I run a remote business and it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Um, and you can only realistically have so many touch points if you're going to be remote because otherwise it's so far out of the way that they might as well just not be taking the trucks home anyways, you know?
So how often are you like side by side working at a job or meeting up with your guys?
So we do a virtual meeting once a week,
Okay.
on Tuesdays, and then we do a team breakfast. I try and do it twice a month,
Okay.
um, and that's just early morning before jobs. And then my goal is like once a month to do like a full day kind of like ride along with each of the
Yeah.
guys and just go out kind of training, that type of stuff.
Sure.
Um, and then otherwise I'll see them usually once or twice a week as when they just swing by for supplies and stuff or to
Okay.
drop off checks or that type of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So they still like you don't have them like stockpiled at their house with materials, like they're picking up equipment. And
Yeah, so
supplies.
if it's like in a pinch, I'm regularly shipping stuff out to them, for
Oh
like,
wow.
hey, tomorrow you need, or not tomorrow, but in 2 days you need these products and you're not going to be anywhere near my place in the next 2 days. So I'm going to ship it out, that type of stuff. But they're very regularly stopping by because I keep a lot of stuff stocked here.
Right. Sure. Wow.